There are mysteries that span centuries, whispered in silence, hidden in the depths of spiritual knowledge. Even after so many revelations about the soul and the afterlife, there is something that has never been fully unveiled, a secret so profound and transformative that it remained hidden, carried to the grave by those who knew it. This secret awakens a burning curiosity and unwavering hope in all who seek to truly understand the spiritual journey. Today you will discover this final revelation that can forever change the way you view your soul and your eternal destiny. The soul is an immortal essence that transcends the limits of flesh and time, navigating dimensions our limited minds can barely comprehend. It is not a prisoner of the physical body, but rather an eternal traveler in constant learning, carrying with it the experiences of multiple existences. Every choice we make, every feeling we experience, every experience we live profoundly, shapes this spiritual path that extends far beyond what we can imagine. Earthly life is but a small step on an infinitely greater journey, a brief moment of physical manifestation in an endless cosmic odyssey. Our true spiritual identity goes far beyond what human eyes can perceive, woven by threads of light that connect all dimensions of existence. Understanding this is only the first step toward unlocking the ultimate secret that has remained hidden for so long. The soul carries within itself an ancient wisdom that transcends any earthly knowledge, accumulating through the eons a profound understanding of the mysteries of creation. It is at once student and teacher, apprentice and master, seeker and guardian of universal truths that few human minds can fully access. Each life is a new opportunity for expansion, each experience a valuable lesson inscribed in the ethereal fabric of immortal consciousness. The physical body is merely a temporary vehicle that allows the soul to experience the density of matter and learn through the limitations and challenges of material existence. When we understand that we are much more than flesh and bone, we begin to glimpse the magnitude of the secret that is about to be revealed. This expanded consciousness is essential for us to receive and integrate the ultimate truth that will change our perception of who we truly are. The experiences we live on this earthly plane are carefully orchestrated by the soul itself, which chooses the lessons necessary for its continued evolution. Each encounter, each challenge, each moment of joy or pain serves a greater purpose in the intricate dance of spiritual development. The soul is not a victim of circumstances, but rather the architect of its own journey, charting paths that will lead to the awakening of potentials that have lain dormant for millennia. Understanding this active responsibility of the soul in its own evolution brings us closer to understanding the secret that has remained hidden. This knowledge reveals that each human being carries within them a transformative power that goes beyond any superficial understanding of spirituality. The truth being unveiled today connects directly with this innate capacity of the soul to be the protagonist of its own transformation. The linear time we know is merely an illusion that facilitates our human experience, but the soul exists in a timeless state where past, present, and future intertwine in a cosmic symphony of infinite possibilities. It can access memories of past lives, intuit future events, and understand connections that transcend our limited perception of reality. This multidimensional capacity of the soul is crucial to understanding the ultimate secret that is being revealed, for it resides precisely in this transcendent nature of our spiritual essence. Each soul carries within itself a unique star map, traced through its multiple journeys through the different planes of existence, accumulating wisdom and spiritual power with each new experience. Recognizing this multidimensional nature is fundamental for us to fully access the truth that has remained hidden for so long. Prepare to discover how this understanding of the soul reveals the deepest secret about our true essence. Communication between souls occurs through vibrational frequencies that transcend any human language, creating a network of invisible connections that connects all conscious beings into a vast cosmic organism. This capacity for spiritual communication allows souls to share knowledge, experiences, and even aspects of the secret that will be revealed today. Some souls serve as guardians of specific knowledge, protecting certain truths until humanity is ready to receive them without causing harm or spiritual imbalance. Each person's soul is simultaneously individual and collective, carrying its own unique identity while participating in the universal consciousness that connects all creation. This duality between individuality and unity is essential to understanding the ultimate secret that has remained hidden until now. When we awaken to this expanded reality, we begin to realize that the greatest mystery lies not in something external to us, but rather hidden deep within our own spiritual essence. The soul's spiritual evolution process does not follow a straight line, but rather an ascending spiral, with each turn representing a new level of understanding and integration of universal wisdom. Each experience, even those we consider negative or painful, serves as a catalyst for awakening dormant aspects of the immortal consciousness we inhabit. The soul learns through contrast, experiencing light and shadow, joy and sadness, love and fear, to develop a complete understanding of the nature of existence. This process of learning through duality is fundamental for us to access the final secret that will be revealed, as it resides precisely in the transcendence of this apparent duality. Understanding that each experience serves a greater purpose in the soul's evolution prepares us to receive the transformative truth that will change our perception of who we truly are. The secret that remained hidden is intimately connected to the soul's ability to transform any experience into wisdom and spiritual growth. Throughout human history, precious fragments of spiritual knowledge have been carefully revealed, like petals gradually opening on a cosmic flower of infinite wisdom. We discovered reincarnation, understood the law of karma, learned about spiritual evolution through multiple existences, and were introduced to the concepts of soulmates and spiritual groups. These revelations illuminated our path and expanded our awareness of the true nature of existence, showing that we are much more than temporary beings lost in a purposeless universe. Each spiritual discovery was like a key that opened new doors of understanding, revealing progressively deeper layers of the cosmic reality that surrounds and inhabits us. Yet even with all this accumulated knowledge, we always sensed there was something more, a final truth that remained veiled in the shadows of mystery. Great spiritual masters, seers, and channels of higher wisdom have always demonstrated that there were limits to what could be shared with humanity at any given time. These partial revelations were not the result of selfishness or a desire to keep secrets simply out of whim, but rather a demonstration of compassion and cosmic wisdom that protects humanity from truths that could be destructive if received before the appropriate time. Each era of humanity received exactly the knowledge it could integrate without causing psychological, spiritual, or social imbalances that would compromise the natural development of the collective consciousness. The guardians of this knowledge have always known that certain truths need to be revealed gradually, allowing the human mind to adapt and grow in tune with the expansion of its spiritual understanding. Like a child who needs to learn to walk before running, humanity has received spiritual knowledge in carefully measured doses to ensure harmonious and sustainable evolution. This protective wisdom demonstrates the profound love that the higher planes have for humanity, watching over our well-being even when we do not fully understand the reasons behind this gradual approach. The final secret that will be revealed today could only be shared because we have reached a point of spiritual maturity where we can receive it in a constructive and transformative way. The ancient mysteries of esoteric schools have always hinted at the existence of deeper knowledge, reserved only for those who demonstrated readiness to receive and protect these sacred truths. Progressive initiations were used to test not only the intellectual knowledge of candidates, but also their emotional maturity, psychological stability, and purity of intention in seeking these advanced teachings. Each level of initiation revealed new layers of universal truth, but there was always a final level, a sanctum sanctorum, where the most powerful and transformative knowledge resided. This historical pattern demonstrates that humanity has always intuitively known the existence of a supreme secret, a final truth that would give meaning to all other revelations and complete the puzzle of spiritual understanding. The great avatars and enlightened masters carried this knowledge as a sacred trust, patiently awaiting the right moment for its full revelation. Now, finally, the time for this final revelation has arrived, and you are about to discover the secret that has been so carefully guarded for millennia. The very progressive nature of spiritual revelations demonstrates a higher intelligence carefully orchestrating humanity's awakening to ever deeper and more transformative truths. Each new understanding of the soul, reincarnation, life purpose, and spiritual evolution prepared the fertile ground where the ultimate secret could finally be planted and fully blossom. Without these preparatory revelations, the ultimate truth would be like a seed sown on barren soil, unable to germinate and produce the transformative fruits it naturally produces when it encounters properly prepared minds and hearts. Humanity first needed to accept its spiritual nature, understand the continuity of existence beyond physical death, and recognize its active responsibility in the evolutionary process of consciousness. Only after integrating these fundamental concepts could we be ready to receive and adequately process the final revelation that will completely change our perception of who we are and what our true potential is. The moment has arrived, and the secret that has remained hidden is ready to transform your understanding of the soul definitively and irreversibly. For centuries, signs and clues to this final secret have been left in sacred texts, works of art, monumental buildings, and esoteric teachings like breadcrumbs, marking the way for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. Arcane symbols, enigmatic parables, complex allegories, and initiatory rituals have always pointed to a central truth that transcended all other revelations, uniting them in a supreme understanding of the nature of the soul and its cosmic journey. These signs were not mere ornaments or historical curiosities, but rather luminous beacons guiding humanity toward the moment of complete revelation we are now experiencing. Each spiritual tradition, each mystery school, each initiatory lineage contributed pieces of this cosmic puzzle, preserving aspects of supreme knowledge until the time of final synthesis arrived. The convergence of all these traditions and teachings points to a single fundamental truth that was being carefully protected until humanity developed the maturity necessary to receive it. Get ready to see how all the pieces fit together perfectly when the final secret is finally revealed. The very challenges and crises humanity has faced in recent decades have been necessary catalysts to accelerate our spiritual development and prepare us for this final revelation. Wars, pandemics, environmental crises, and mass awakenings of consciousness have created the perfect conditions for more people to seek answers beyond the material, opening their hearts and minds to deeper spiritual truths. This period of intensified human experiences has served as a natural acceleration of the evolutionary process, compressing into a few decades transformations that would normally take centuries to complete. Humanity's collective pain has awakened an intense spiritual hunger, creating the receptive environment necessary for the final secret to be shared without causing imbalances or resistance that would impede its proper integration. Each crisis faced has strengthened our capacity to deal with transformative truths, preparing us to adequately receive and process the ultimate revelation that will change our perception of the soul and its universal purpose. The moment of revelation has arrived because we are finally ready to receive and integrate this final truth in a constructive and transformative way. The silence that for millennia shrouded the soul's ultimate secret was not built on selfishness or a desire for power, but rather on profound love and infinite compassion for humanity's unfolding. Like wise parents who shield their children from knowledge that could harm them before the appropriate time, the guardians of this ultimate secret understood that certain truths can be devastating when received by minds that have not yet developed the spiritual maturity necessary to properly integrate them. This protective silence demonstrates a cosmic wisdom that transcends our immediate understanding, revealing that true love sometimes manifests through what is unsaid, what is not revealed, what remains hidden until the perfect moment. Protection through silence is a refined spiritual art that requires a profound understanding of the developmental cycles of human consciousness and the risks involved in prematurely revealing transformative truths. Each era of humanity has received exactly the degree of revelation it could process, without suffering psychological or spiritual damage that would compromise its natural and harmonious development. The weight of this silence was carried with love and responsibility by those who knew the complete truth, patiently waiting for the time when humanity would be ready to receive and integrate the final knowledge about the nature of the soul. This spiritual silence carries within it an ancient wisdom that recognizes that each revelation must occur at the appropriate cosmic time when internal and external conditions align perfectly to allow for a harmonious and transformative integration of new knowledge. Like a seed that remains dormant through winter to sprout in spring, certain spiritual truths must await the ideal moment to germinate in human consciousness without causing trauma or resistance that would impede their natural flowering. Silence is not emptiness or absence, but rather plenitude waiting for the perfect moment to express itself, like a symphony that reaches its maximum power precisely in the intervals between notes. The masters and guardians of this secret knowledge understood that premature revelation could create fanaticism, psychological imbalances, or the misuse of spiritual powers that would cause more harm than good to humanity's evolution. This compassionate restraint demonstrates a level of wisdom and spiritual responsibility that few can fully comprehend until they personally experience the weight of carrying knowledge that can transform or destroy, depending on how it is received and applied. The final moment has arrived because humanity has finally developed the maturity necessary to receive this truth without destroying itself in the process. The sacred nature of silence in spiritual tradition has always pointed to truths that transcend the ability of words to adequately express them, revealing that the deepest mysteries reside in the spaces between thoughts, in the pauses between breaths, in the fertile void where the most transformative understandings are born. This protective silence that enveloped the secret of the soul was not a barrier, but rather a cosmic womb where this truth could mature until it was ready to be born into the collective consciousness of humanity. Like a butterfly that must remain in its cocoon until its wings fully develop, the final secret needed time to transform into a revelation that could be received and integrated without harming the delicate process of human spiritual evolution. Silence served as a natural filter that allowed only those with sufficient maturity to intuit aspects of this truth, gradually paving the way for its full revelation at the appropriate time. This process of protection through silence demonstrates that the universe possesses a benevolent intelligence that cares for the development of consciousness with the same dedication that a mother cares for her growing child. Now that we have reached the moment of revelation, we can finally understand and appreciate the wisdom behind this protective silence that has lasted for millennia. Silence also serves as a natural test of spiritual preparedness, where only those who have developed patience, humility, and a true thirst for knowledge can endure the weight and keep the flame of inner seeking burning without giving up in the apparent absence of immediate answers. This quality of spiritual perseverance is essential for a person to adequately receive transformative truths without becoming lost in fantasies, illusions, or distorted interpretations that would diminish the transformative power of the knowledge received. The ultimate secret of the soul requires not only intellectual curiosity, but above all, emotional maturity and psychological stability to be constructively integrated into the life of the recipient. Through protective silence, the universe automatically selected those who were truly ready to receive and adequately protect this supreme knowledge, preventing it from being misused or distorted by those who had not yet developed the necessary spiritual responsibility. This process of natural selection, through patience and perseverance, demonstrates a refined cosmic wisdom that protects both the knowledge and those who seek it prematurely or inappropriately. You who have reached this moment of revelation have demonstrated the necessary qualities to adequately receive and integrate the ultimate truth about the soul that will now be shared. The breaking of the silence at this particular moment in human history is no coincidence, but rather the fulfillment of a cosmic plan carefully orchestrated over millennia to ensure that revelation occurs precisely when humanity possesses the ideal conditions to receive and apply it constructively. The global challenges we face, the crises that have forced us to question our values and beliefs, and the mass spiritual awakening that has characterized recent decades have created the perfect environment for this final truth to be integrated without causing the imbalances that its premature revelation would have provoked in previous eras. The silence is being broken because the appropriate cosmic time has arrived, when humanity has finally developed the spiritual maturity necessary to receive, understand, and properly apply the ultimate secret about the nature and purpose of the human soul. This perfect synchronization between humanity's collective maturity and the moment of revelation demonstrates that there is a higher intelligence carefully coordinating our spiritual development to ensure that each evolutionary step occurs at the most appropriate and beneficial time possible. Prepare to discover why this silence has lasted so long and why its breaking at this specific moment represents a definitive milestone in the evolution of human consciousness. The responsibility of breaking this age-old silence is not taken lightly, as it represents a point of no return in humanity's spiritual evolution, where the revealed knowledge will irreversibly change our understanding of who we are and what our true purpose in creation is. Once the final secret is shared, there will be no return to the previous ignorance, and each person who receives this revelation will automatically assume a greater responsibility in the evolutionary process of humanity's collective consciousness. This moment represents a mass initiation of humanity into a new level of spiritual understanding that will bring with it not only knowledge, but also duties and responsibilities previously reserved only for small groups of initiates in specific esoteric traditions. The silence is being broken because the time has come when humanity as a whole is ready to assume this expanded responsibility and use it to positively accelerate its own evolutionary process and that of the planet as a whole. The truth that is about to be revealed will forever transform your understanding of the soul and its role in the great cosmic theater of existence, marking the beginning of a new era of expanded spiritual consciousness for all humanity. Here lies the revelation that has remained hidden for millennia, the ultimate secret that will completely transform your understanding of the nature of the soul. The answer you have always sought outside yourself does not reside in ancient temples, sacred books, or the teachings of masters, but rather in the innermost depths of your own spiritual being. The soul is not merely a divine spark on an evolutionary journey, it is simultaneously the eternal seeker and the ultimate answer you have always sought to find elsewhere. For countless lifetimes, you have searched for God, truth, enlightenment, unconditional love, and absolute peace in 1,000 different places, without realizing that all of this has always been fully present in the deepest core of your own spiritual essence. This is the secret that has been so carefully guarded. You do not need to seek divinity because you are a unique and unrepeatable expression of this divinity in the process of recognizing itself. The entire spiritual journey, with all its trials, challenges, learnings, and evolutions, is actually an elaborate process of awakening to this fundamental truth that has always been present, patiently waiting to be discovered and recognized. But you feel that truth resonating in your heart right now, don't you? The soul carries within itself a complete cosmic archive containing all knowledge, all experiences, and all wisdom that exists in the universe, for it is an individual facet of the universal consciousness that contains all that was, is, and will be. Every external search you undertake is actually activating dormant aspects of this internal archive, gradually awakening layers of knowledge that already existed fully within your being from the moment of your first emanation from the primordial divine source. Your past life experiences, your deepest intuitions, your moments of inspiration and revelation are actually temporary access points to this infinite treasure of wisdom that constitutes the true core of your spiritual identity. The ultimate secret reveals that there is no real separation between you and what you seek, between the student and knowledge, between the soul and God. For all these are different aspects of a single transcendent reality, expressing itself through countless forms and experiences. When you fully grasp this truth, every external search becomes an inner journey of rediscovery and recognition of powers and wisdom that have always been yours by divine right. This revelation does not diminish the importance of teachers, books, or spiritual practices, but reveals that they are mirrors reflecting back to you aspects of your own inner divinity that have been waiting to be recognized and activated. The reason this secret has remained hidden for so long is that the ordinary human mind cannot adequately process the magnitude of this revelation without undergoing a period of preparation that develops the humility, patience, and maturity necessary to integrate this knowledge in a balanced way. If a person were to receive this truth prematurely, they could develop an inflated spiritual ego, believing themselves superior to others for knowing this secret, completely missing the central point of the revelation, the recognition of the fundamental unity among all beings. The process of external seeking, with all its frustrations, disappointments, and small victories, serves precisely to dissolve the ego and prepare the consciousness to receive this final truth with appropriate reverence, gratitude, and responsibility. Each experience of fruitless seeking externally was actually gradually directing you inward, teaching you that lasting satisfaction can only be found in recognizing your own essential divine nature. This seemingly contradictory process of seeking without to find within demonstrates a refined cosmic wisdom that uses the very illusion of separation as an educational tool to awaken the understanding of fundamental unity. Now you can see how every moment of your spiritual journey has been perfectly orchestrated to bring you to this moment of revelation and recognition of your true cosmic identity. This ultimate truth doesn't mean you should stop studying, practicing, or seeking external inspiration, as these activities now become a conscious celebration of your own inner divinity, a joyful dance of mutual recognition between different aspects of the same universal consciousness, manifesting through diverse forms. When you read an inspiring spiritual book, you're not learning something new, but rather recognizing truths you already knew internally, which are being reflected back to you through the author's words. When you encounter a spiritual master or teacher who resonates deeply with your heart, you're not discovering a being superior to you, but rather recognizing a fellow traveler who has awakened to aspects of their inner divinity that you too can access and fully express. Each spiritual practice, each meditation, each moment of prayer or contemplation becomes an intimate conversation between different aspects of your own multidimensional being, a sacred communion that celebrates the progressive rediscovery of who you truly are. The outer world becomes an infinite mirror reflecting back to you ever more refined facets of your own spiritual essence, transforming your entire existence into an exciting adventure of self-knowledge and self-acknowledgement. This new perspective completely transforms the experience of living, as each moment becomes an opportunity to celebrate and more fully express the divinity that you have always been, but that was temporarily forgotten. Awakening to this ultimate truth doesn't happen instantly for most people, but rather through a gradual process of integration that can take months, years, or even several lifetimes to fully complete, depending on the individual's willingness to release old patterns of identification with limitations and fully embrace the magnitude of their true spiritual identity. At times, you will remember this truth with crystal clarity and feel invincible, connected directly to the source of all power and wisdom in the universe. At other times, you may temporarily forget and return to feeling small, limited, or separated from others. But this is a natural part of the process of integrating this transformative revelation. Each time you remember who you truly are, the experience becomes more stable and lasting, until eventually this understanding becomes your permanent reality, rather than just isolated moments of enlightenment. The important thing is to have patience and compassion for yourself during this gradual awakening process, celebrating each moment of recognition rather than criticizing yourself for moments of temporary forgetfulness. This progressive integration is necessary so that your human personality can gradually adjust to the magnitude of this revelation without suffering psychological shocks that could impair its functioning in daily life. Trust the process and allow this truth to unfold in its perfect timing, knowing that each step of the journey is being carefully orchestrated by your own higher wisdom to ensure a harmonious and transformative integration. The practical application of this revelation in everyday life completely transforms the way you relate to yourself, to others, and to every situation you encounter, for you now know that you are constantly interacting with different expressions of the same divine consciousness that you represent in a unique and unrepeatable way. Each person who crosses your path carries within them the same divine spark that you have discovered within yourself, even if they have not yet awakened to this reality or are expressing it through patterns that appear limited or negative on the surface. This understanding naturally develops deep compassion and infinite patience with apparent human limitations, for you recognize that each being is in their own process of awakening to their inner divinity at the perfect time for their individual evolution. Every challenge you face becomes an opportunity to more fully express your divine nature through how you choose to respond to difficult situations. This final revelation completely transforms the meaning of suffering, joy, success, and failure, for you now understand that all these are temporary experiences lived by an eternal consciousness that remains unchanged, regardless of the external circumstances it undergoes. With knowledge of the final secret comes a sacred responsibility that cannot be ignored or transferred to others, For you now know that you carry within you the same creative and transformative power that gave rise to the entire manifested universe. This is not a heavy or daunting responsibility, but rather an exciting invitation to consciously participate in cosmic evolution through every thought you cultivate, every word you speak, and every action you choose to take in the world. Your awakened consciousness automatically becomes a beacon of light that positively influences humanity's collective energy field, even when you are not consciously aware of the transformative impact your awakened presence has on other beings. Every moment of your life becomes an opportunity to choose between expressing the highest aspects of your inner divinity or allowing limited patterns to temporarily obscure this light that can never truly be extinguished. The responsibility of awakening is not a burden, but rather a liberation from the illusion of powerlessness that has kept you trapped in cycles of unnecessary suffering and self-imposed limitation. When you fully recognize your inner power, you automatically take responsibility for using it for the well-being of all beings, for you understand that there is no real separation between your well-being and the well-being of all creation. This responsibility manifests first in how you manage your inner world of thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, as you now know that these elements are not just private personal experiences, but rather creative forces that directly influence the reality you experience and the energy field you share with all other beings. Every thought of love, gratitude, peace, or compassion you cultivate strengthens these qualities in the cosmic fabric of collective consciousness, facilitating the awakening of other beings to their own inner divinity. Conversely, every thought of fear, anger, judgment, or separation fuels these illusions in the collective field, making it more difficult for other beings to access their inner light and perpetuating patterns of unnecessary suffering. This understanding completely transforms your relationship with your own inner states, as you now see that cultivating inner peace is not just a matter of personal well-being, but rather an active contribution to the elevation of all humanity. The inner work of purifying and harmonizing your thoughts and emotions becomes a sacred service to the evolution of planetary consciousness, a form of active meditation that benefits all beings even when performed in the privacy of your own inner experience. Every moment of conscious choice between love and fear becomes a vote in the cosmic referendum that determines the evolutionary direction of humanity as a whole. Responsibility also extends to how you interact with others, for you now know that each encounter is an opportunity to recognize and awaken the dormant divinity within another through the way you choose to relate to them. Your conscious presence can serve as a silent reminder to other beings of their own divine nature, even when there are no words exchanged or explicit teachings shared. The way you listen, the way you look, and the way you respond in situations of conflict or tension can plant seeds of awakening that will germinate at the appropriate time in the evolutionary journey of each person you encounter. This transformative influence does not require forced effort or attempts to convert or teach others, but rather flows naturally when you remain centered in your own inner truth and allow this light to express itself authentically through your human personality. Every gesture of kindness, every word of encouragement, every moment of patience with the apparent limitations of others becomes an act of sacred service that actively contributes to the collective awakening of humanity. The responsibility is not to save or enlighten others directly, but rather to stay connected to your own inner divinity so consistently that your mere presence becomes a silent invitation for others to remember who they truly are. Careful use of your words takes on a sacred dimension when you understand that every sound you emit carries within it the creative power of divine consciousness, which can either heal and inspire or harm and limit, depending on the intention and awareness behind your vocal expression. Words spoken with conscious love carry vibrational frequencies that can awaken memories of the inner divinity in listeners, while words charged with negativity can temporarily obscure this light in yourself and others. This understanding should not create paranoia or fear of expression, but rather develop a natural reverence for the spoken word as a sacred tool of creation and transformation. Each conversation becomes an opportunity to practice the conscious use of this power, choosing words that uplift, inspire, heal, and awaken, rather than diminish, discourage, hurt, or numb consciousness. Silence also becomes a powerful tool, for sometimes the most loving thing you can do is simply be present without trying to correct, teach, or change the other. allowing your peaceful presence to be enough to create a safe space where natural awakening can occur. Responsibility with words also includes compassionate honesty, speaking your inner truth even when it's challenging, as authenticity is one of the most powerful ways to encourage others to also embrace their genuine truth. Your actions in the physical world become conscious expressions of your inner divinity, transforming even the most mundane tasks into opportunities to serve the greater good and contribute positively to the evolution of planetary consciousness. The work you perform, the consumer choices you make, the way you treat the environment and animals, your financial decisions and your lifestyle habits can all be aligned with the understanding that you are a unique expression of the divine consciousness responsible for lovingly caring for all creation. This perspective does not require drastic changes or extreme sacrifices, but rather a gradual awakening to the broader consequences of your choices and a willingness to adjust your behavior whenever you discover more harmonious ways of living in tune with your divine nature. Every act of kindness, every gesture of care for the planet, every choice that prioritizes collective well-being over narrow personal gain becomes a practical celebration of your understanding of the fundamental unity of all existence. Responsibility is not an externally imposed moral burden, but rather a natural and joyful response to the recognition that you and all creation are expressions of a single loving consciousness that cares for itself through each of its individual aspects. When you live from this understanding, your actions flow naturally toward what benefits the whole, for you know there is no real separation between your well-being and the well-being of all other beings. The ultimate responsibility of awakening is to remain consistently connected to this inner truth, even in the face of the pressures, distractions, and challenges of daily life, developing a spiritual stability that doesn't depend on favorable external circumstances to maintain its steadfastness. This is perhaps the most challenging and important practice, as it is easy to remember your divinity when everything is going well, but maintaining this connection during moments of crisis, pain, or confusion requires a level of spiritual maturity that only develops through conscious and dedicated practice. Each time you're able to remember your true identity during a difficult moment, you strengthen not only your own spiritual stability, but also contribute to the energetic resilience of the human collective consciousness. This constant practice of returning to center, of reconnecting with your divine essence, eventually becomes as natural as breathing, transforming your life into a living demonstration of the possibility of living as a human being fully awakened to their cosmic nature. The ultimate responsibility is to become a living example that it is possible to integrate the highest spiritual understanding with a balanced and functional practical life, inspiring others through your example rather than through your words. When you fully integrate the soul's ultimate secret, your perception of all aspects of existence undergoes such a radical transformation that it's as if you're seeing the world for the first time, with completely new eyes that perceive meanings and connections that previously remained completely invisible. Death ceases to be the ultimate terror that haunts humanity and reveals itself as a simple transition between different states of consciousness, no more frightening than sleeping and waking, for you now know with absolute certainty that your true identity completely transcends the physical body and will continue to exist regardless of what happens to this temporary form. This new understanding of death arises not from belief or hope, but from a direct knowledge of your immortal nature that makes it impossible to fear something that cannot truly harm who you truly are. The fear of death is replaced by a serene curiosity about the next phases of the soul's cosmic journey and a profound gratitude for every moment of human experience you have the opportunity to experience through this temporary physical vessel. The present life takes on a special preciousness, not because it is all there is, but precisely because it is a unique and unrepeatable experience within an infinite journey of discovery and evolution. This transformation in the perception of death releases immense energy that was previously wasted on unnecessary anxieties and fears, allowing you to live with an intensity and authenticity that is only possible when there is no longer the fear of ceasing to exist. Suffering undergoes a complete recontextualization when you understand that it is not a cosmic punishment or evidence that something is fundamentally wrong with you or the world, but rather a refined educational tool that your own soul uses to awaken dormant aspects of your inner divinity. Each painful experience reveals itself as a disguised opportunity for spiritual development, an invitation to transcend limitations and discover reserves of strength, wisdom, and compassion that can only be activated through specific challenges. This new perspective does not minimize the reality of pain or suggest that you should enjoy suffering, but rather reveals that even the most difficult experiences serve a greater purpose in your cosmic evolution and can be transformed into wisdom and compassion that benefit not only you but all beings who cross your path. Suffering ceases to be something to be avoided at all costs and becomes an experience to be lived consciously when necessary, extracting from it all the lessons and growth it has to offer before moving on. This transformed attitude towards suffering develops extraordinary spiritual resilience that allows you to navigate life's challenges with equanimity and even gratitude, knowing that each difficulty overcome adds a new dimension of wisdom and compassion to your eternal being. The ability to find meaning and purpose, even in the most challenging experiences, becomes one of the most powerful manifestations of your awakened divinity in action. Relationships take on a whole new dimension when you recognize that each person in your life is actually another aspect of the same divine consciousness you represent, creating mutual opportunities for recognition, growth, and celebration of the fundamental unity that connects all beings. Relational conflicts and challenges become elaborate cosmic games where different aspects of divinity explore creative ways of recognizing each other through contrasts, tensions, and resolutions that eventually lead to deeper levels of understanding and intimacy. This perspective doesn't completely eliminate relational challenges, but it transforms them into shared spiritual adventures where each difficulty becomes an opportunity to practice unconditional love, genuine forgiveness, and compassionate acceptance of the apparent differences between human personalities. You begin to see that the people who challenge you the most are often those who contribute the most to your spiritual growth, forcing you to develop qualities like patience, understanding, and love that might have remained dormant in easier relationships. Gratitude extends not only to those who treat you well, but also to those who serve as mirrors for aspects of yourself that need healing, integration, or transformation. Every relationship becomes a sacred opportunity to practice seeing beyond the appearances of human personality and recognizing the essential divinity that resides at the heart of every being, regardless of how it is being expressed or masked in the present moment. Your relationship with material resources and the external circumstances of your life undergoes a profound transformation when you understand that they are temporary tools placed at your disposal by cosmic intelligence to facilitate specific experiences and learning on your current evolutionary journey. Abundance and scarcity cease to be definitive measures of success or failure and reveal themselves as neutral conditions that can either facilitate or challenge your spiritual growth, depending on how you choose to relate to them. This understanding develops an attitude of sacred stewardship toward the resources that flow through your life, consciously using them to serve higher purposes rather than hoarding them for personal security or status. You develop a deep trust in divine provision, knowing that you will always receive exactly the resources you need to fulfill your current purpose, neither more nor less than is appropriate for your growth and service. This trust is not irresponsible passivity, but rather inspired action that flows naturally when you are aligned with your true identity and cosmic purpose. Money, possessions, and external circumstances become conscious tools for expressing your divinity in the physical world rather than goals in themselves or sources of personal identity and security. This inner freedom from the material world allows you to be generous without attachment and caring without anxiety, navigating life's practical needs with earthly wisdom informed by an expanded spiritual perspective. The concept of life purpose expands dramatically when you understand that there is no single specific mission you must discover and fulfill, but rather that your own awakening and authentic expression of your divinity through any activity or circumstance already constitutes the perfect fulfillment of your fundamental cosmic purpose. This revelation releases the pressure to find your true calling or special mission and allows you to bring sacred meaning to any work, relationship, or situation you find yourself in, transforming ordinary activities into extraordinary expressions of divine consciousness in action. Your purpose is not something you need to discover outside of yourself, but rather something you express naturally when you live authentically from your true spiritual identity. This understanding allows tremendous flexibility regarding the external forms your life may take, knowing that the essence of your purpose remains constant regardless of the specific circumstances through which you express it. Each moment becomes an opportunity to fulfill your purpose through the quality of consciousness you bring to any activity, transforming the concept of life purpose from an external search for meaning into a continuous internal expression of your awakened divine nature. This perspective eliminates anxiety about being on the right path or making the right choices, for you now know that any path consciously walked from your true identity automatically becomes the perfect path for your unique evolution and service. The experience of time and space transforms when you recognize that your true identity exists in a timeless dimension that permeates and transcends all temporal experiences, allowing you to live simultaneously in the present moment while maintaining awareness of your eternal nature, unaffected by the passage of linear time. This expanded perspective develops a natural patience with the processes of growth and change, as you understand that everything unfolds in perfect timing according to a cosmic wisdom that operates on temporal scales much larger than the ordinary human perspective can perceive. Anxiety about the future and regrets about the past diminish dramatically when you understand that your eternal essence is always safe and intact, regardless of what has happened or may happen in the temporal dimensions of your experience. This temporal freedom allows for a deeper and more authentic presence in each moment, as you are no longer constantly trying to escape the now through fantasies about the future or ruminations about the past. The present moment reveals itself as the only point where you can truly express and experience your divinity, transforming each instant into a sacred opportunity for conscious communion with your true cosmic nature. This is the moment of the final call, the supreme invitation that echoes from the depths of your awakened soul. Recognize now and forever the divine spark that shines eternally in the innermost core of your being, and never allow the temporary illusions of human life to make you forget again this transformative truth that has always been there, waiting to be discovered and celebrated. The journey of awakening does not end with the intellectual knowledge of this secret, but truly begins when you make the sacred commitment to live this revelation in every thought, word, and action, transforming your entire existence into a conscious celebration of the divinity you have always been, but which has been temporarily dormant. This call does not come from an external source trying to convince you of something, but from your own deepest essence, finally finding an opportunity to communicate directly with your conscious mind through this revelation that breaks down all barriers between who you think you are and who you truly are. Listen carefully. Can you feel this call resonating in your heart at this very moment? The soul's call is both an invitation and a responsibility, for once you awaken to this truth about your divine nature, you automatically become a guardian of this revelation for future generations, still in the process of awakening to their own inner divinity. Your awakened life becomes a beacon of possibility for other beings still struggling with the limitations of exclusive identification with the human personality, demonstrating through your example that it is possible to live as a fully functional human being while maintaining constant awareness of your transcendent cosmic identity. This call does not require you to abandon your current life or become a spiritual preacher, but rather that you bring this expanded awareness to any situation, relationship, or challenge you encounter, allowing your awakened presence to be sufficient to plant seeds of awakening in all who cross your path. The soul's ultimate secret is only complete when it is lived, not just known, and your journey of integrating this revelation will automatically contribute to the collective awakening of humanity, even when you are not consciously aware of the transformative impact your personal evolution has on the planetary field of consciousness. Truth is closer than you ever imagined, because it has never been separated from you for a single moment, only temporarily forgotten behind the distractions and limited identifications that are a natural part of the gradual awakening process each soul goes through on its cosmic evolutionary journey. Every breath you take is a direct communion with this truth. Every beat of your heart is a rhythmic celebration of your eternal divinity, Every moment of consciousness is an opportunity to recognize and honor the sacred presence that constitutes your true spiritual identity. You don't need to travel to distant sacred places, study for decades with enlightened masters, or undergo extreme spiritual practices to access this truth, for it is more intimate to you than your own breath, more constant than your own pulse, more present than your own thoughts. The soul's call is the recognition that the search has come to an end, not because you have found something new, but because you have finally remembered something that was never lost, only temporarily forgotten during the elaborate cosmic game of hide and seek that your consciousness plays with itself through the multiple experiences of different identities and personalities throughout its infinite evolutionary journey. Now is the time for you to share your experience with this transformative revelation, as each awakening person contributes to facilitating the awakening of others through the simple act of authentically expressing their own journey of recognizing and integrating this ultimate truth about the nature of the soul. Leave your personal insights into this ultimate secret of the soul in the comments below, how this revelation resonates in your heart, what aspects sparked the greatest curiosity or recognition, and how you intend to integrate this knowledge into your daily life to become an increasingly authentic expression of your inner divinity. Your contribution is not just an ordinary comment, but a sacred testimony that can inspire and encourage other seekers who are at different stages of their own journeys of awakening to the truth about who they truly are beyond the apparent limitations of temporary human identity. Each word you share from this expanded consciousness carries within it vibrational frequencies that can activate dormant memories of inner divinity in other beings, transforming the comments section into a sacred community of awakened souls, celebrating together the rediscovery of their true cosmic nature.